19 Aspects of José López Portillo, the Good and the Bad of His Presidency. José López Portillo, the President of Mexico from 1976 to 1982, was one of the most controversial leaders in Mexican history. Like many presidents of the 20th century, he came to power through the hermetic political control exerted by the Institutional Revolutionary Party, PRI. He was designated as the PRI's candidate in the famous D-State process by the incumbent president, Luis Echeverría. López Portillo presided over Mexico during a period of unprecedented oil wealth, which led to a significant increase in public spending and a reduction in social inequalities. However, it also resulted in colossal levels of debt. In 1981, the collapse of oil prices triggered one of the worst economic crises in Mexican history, and López Portillo went from being seen as the hero of a movie to being vilified as a corrupt, profligate womanizer. One of the most controversial measures of his presidency was the nationalization of the banking sector, which earned him the enmity of the economic elite. López Portillo's personal life, characterized by a magnetic personality, was also a subject of interest, with a sexologist describing him as hormonally irresistible. To delve into the crucial 6-year term of José López Portillo and explore his love life, let's provide accurate and verified information. Please subscribe to our channel and activate notifications to stay up to date with our updates. Number 1. His paternal family's involvement in Mexican politics. José López Portillo y Weber was born on June 16, 1920, in Mexico City, as the son of María del Refugio Pacheco and José López Portillo y Weber. He belonged to a notable family with a history of involvement in Mexican politics. In February 1913, while still a cadet at the military college, his father escorted President Francisco I. Madero from Chapultepec Castle to the National Palace during the failed uprising led by General Bernardo Reyes. José López Portillo y Rojas, his grandfather, was a Porfirian congressman, governor of Jalisco during Madero's presidency, and Secretary of Foreign Relations under Victoriano Huerta. His great-grandfather, Jesus López Portillo, served as the governor of Jalisco on 2 occasions. After the rise to power of Victoriano Carranza, his father and grandfather hid in Jalisco until they could safely return to Mexico City. Number 2. Encouragement from Adolfo López Mateos. José López Portillo earned a law degree from the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, in 1946. After completing his doctorate, he began working as a private lawyer, keeping away from politics, following the advice of his father, who once said, "The flaws of an honest man are the qualities of a politician." However, in 1958, he accepted an invitation to participate in the preparation of the government plan for Adolfo López Mateos, the PRI candidate. After getting to know López Portillo, López Mateos encouraged him to leave private practice and engage in public service. López Mateos assumed the presidency in December 1958, and in 1960, López Portillo entered the public administration through his old friend Luis Echeverría. Number 3. An unexpected candidate. Echeverría began his presidential term in 1970, and in 1972, José López Portillo was appointed Director General of the Federal Electricity Commission. In 1973, he joined the cabinet as Secretary of Finance and Public Credit. Surprisingly, at the end of Echeverría's term, López Portillo was chosen as the PRI's candidate in September 1975, surpassing seemingly favored ministers like Mario Moya Palencia, Secretary of Governance, and Hugo Cervantes del Rio, Secretary of the Presidency. López Portillo started his electoral campaign with the slogan "The solution is all of us," effectively positioning himself as an alternative to the ruling party. In the federal elections of July 1976, he won with 93.5% of the votes, inheriting a profound economic crisis that his friend Luis Echeverría Álvarez had failed to address. Number 4. A significant increase in external debt to finance the oil industry. López Portillo's presidency began with a restructuring of the public administration, establishing new secretariats such as Planning and Budget, Agriculture and Hydraulic Resources, Heritage, and Industrial Development, and Human Settlements and Public Works. Departing from tradition, he appointed a career military officer as Secretary of Defense. The discovery of significant oil reserves in Chiapas, Tabasco, and Campeche allowed for an economic revival, but it also led to substantial borrowing to finance the oil industry. At the time, the low interest rates made debt accumulation appear manageable. However, Mexico's external debt skyrocketed to $59 billion by 1982. The geopolitical appetite of the United States was aroused by Mexico's newfound oil wealth, amid the political instability in the Middle East and the rise of anti-American clerical fervor in Iran. Number 5, designated Miguel de la Madrid as successor. In October 1981, López Portillo ordered the unveiling of the PRI's presidential candidate for the 1982 federal elections, and his chosen successor was his Secretary of Planning and Budget, Miguel de la Madrid Hurtado. The selection process went relatively smoothly, with the only disgruntled aspirant being Javier García Paniagua, the national leader of the PRI, who temporarily withdrew from political life, not being anointed with the candidacy. During his electoral campaign, de la Madrid attempted to distance himself from López Portillo's image, which was tarnished by accusations of corruption, nepotism, and frivolity. De la Madrid campaigned on the platform of moral renewal and the pursuit of crimes against public assets as the purpose of his government. Number 6, quoted Shakespeare to justify debt default. Despite the economic crisis Mexico was facing, the PRI achieved an easy victory for Miguel de la Madrid, winning with 71% of the votes, surpassing the candidate of the National Action Party, Pablo Emilio Madero. In August 1982, the Mexican government declared a debt default, and López Portillo, alluding to the merciless usurer Shylock from Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, said, "Shylock behaved like Shylock." According to several analysts, the government's major mistake was believing that the fall in oil prices would be temporary while attempting to maintain exchange rate parity, and sustain high levels of spending by financing the fiscal deficit through new borrowings. López Portillo refused to devalue the peso, arguing, "A currency that is devalued is a devalued country." Number 7, signed the Extended Fund Facility Agreement with the International Monetary Fund. Believing he could set the price of oil at his discretion, López Portillo dismissed the director of Pemex, Jorge Díaz Serrano, for reducing the oil price. He then decreed an increase in the price of Mexican crude. However, Pemex's clients switched to other suppliers outside of Mexico, leading to a loss of petroleum revenues. During the same period, the government signed the Extended Fund Facility Agreement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, receiving a financing of $3.6 billion. Mexico committed to reducing public spending and setting limits on external debt. However, the damage had already been done, as the debt doubled within months, and the loans were not allocated to productive activities but rather to the monetary market to maintain exchange rate freedom and achieve a controlled parity, as Germán Pérez Fernández noted in Gobernantes de Mexico. Number 8, last presidential message and crisis responsibility. In his final presidential message, amid the unfolding debacle, López Portillo stated, "I am responsible for the helm, but not for the storm." With a broken voice, he addressed the dispossessed, saying, "I did everything I could to organize society and correct the backwardness. We made progress, but if I have any sadness, it is for not having done better." He also announced his intention to mitigate the crisis through exchange controls and the nationalization of the banking system, declaring, "Mexico, in the face of the extreme situation represented by the current crisis, cannot allow speculation to dominate its economy. This crisis, which we have called financial and liquidity, seriously threatens our productive structure. It is now or never. Mexico is not finished. They will not plunder us again. Number 9, economic bleeding in the last months of his presidency. The risks associated with nationalization, such as bureaucratization and increased corruption, seemed minor compared to the economic bleeding Mexico experienced. Over $54 billion fled the country, resulting in high unemployment, soaring interest rates, and economic chaos. As the end of his term approached, López Portillo faced greater risks than ever before. In the preceding months, starting from February when the government withdrew from the money market, the prevailing sentiment was that there was no political regime, only administrative institutions incapable of making decisions. The economy was being managed by politics, and López Portillo realized this in the final moment of his presidency. Number 10, private economic sector reacts to bank nationalization. López Portillo's announced measures immediately triggered strong reactions in national and international financial circles. Manuel J. Clauthia, the president of the Coordinating Business Council, called for a plebiscite, stating that such significant decisions should not be made by a single person. He defended the banking sector, saying, "That sector is not treacherous but patriotic and supportive of the highest interests of the country." The left-wing defended the nationalization of banks as patriotic, progressive, and popular, while also complaining that it was a trap set by the ruling class to continue manipulating workers. Ultimately, the demonstrations in favor of bank nationalization outnumbered those against it. Number 11, mocked with the phrase "Lo prometido es deuda," promises must be kept. The days of López Portillo's presidency became a via crucis, Calvary, for him. The man once celebrated for his eloquence, popularity, and charisma became the object of ridicule and mockery with clever phrases like "Lo prometido es deuda," promises must be kept in the López Portillo regime. He was labeled as the greatest populist, corrupt, profligate, frivolous, and nepotistic leader in Mexican history. López Portillo himself stated, "I am going from the condition of a prominent figure to the disgrace of this society." However, he refused to disclose the names of the main figures who had taken their dollars out of the country, claiming it was out of prudence and respect for the future government. Thus concluded the mandate of the man who had self-defined as the last opportunity of the revolution. Number 12, popular among women. López Portillo became famous for his charisma, witty phrases like "nothing will happen, the banks will just change owners," and his romantic history. He was popular among women due to his magnetic personality, appealing to cultured ladies of Mexican society and figures in the artistic world. Despite this, he had a long 40-year marriage with Carmen Romano, whom he married in 1951 and divorced in 1991. The presidential couple had 3 children, José Ramón, Carmen Beatriz, and Paulina. José Ramón López Portillo Romano, his son, was referred to as the pride of his nepotism by his father. Number 13, rumored relationship with Rosa Luz Alegría. There was a rumor that while still married to the First Lady of the Republic, López Portillo had a relationship with Rosa Luz Alegría. It was speculated that their romance began even before López Portillo assumed the presidential office. Alegría, a graduate of the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, and a PRI member, was 25 years younger than López Portillo. They became closer during the presidential campaign, and in August 1980, Alegría became the first Mexican woman to lead a government ministry when she was appointed Secretary of Tourism, a position she held until the end of the sexenio in November 1982. Number 14, second marriage to Sasha Montenegro. López Portillo married for the second time to actress and model Sasha Montenegro, an Italian-Argentine Mexican from a Montenegrin family. Sasha Montenegro arrived in Mexico in the early 1970s at the age of 23, attracting attention with her stunning beauty. She quickly gained fame, appearing in photo novels, participating in theater plays, and starring in movies such as Muñecas de Medianoche and Bellas de Noche. Although the golden age of Mexican cinema was already a thing of the past, Sasha's fame grew to the point where she became almost a celebrity. She caught the attention of José López Portillo, and it is said that their relationship began in the early 1980s while López Portillo was still married and Carmen Romano was serving as the First Lady. In the early 1990s, the former president and the actress no longer hid their relationship, and in 1991, López Portillo divorced his first wife and married Sasha Montenegro at the age of 75. They had 2 children together, Navila and Alexander. Number 15, described as hormonally irresistible by a sexologist. In September 2002, while López Portillo was still alive, journalist Elisa Robledo published the book El Presidente y sus Amados, The President and His Lovers. During the book launch in Mexico City, sexologist Marilu Terrescano stated that the president was irresistible to women because he was handsome, masculine, had a sonoran voice, and, above all, possessed economic and political power. Terrescano mentioned, no woman could resist the seduction of José López Portillo. He was sensual, with an impressive physique, testosterone flowing through his veins, and a strong impact of his pheromones, which are substances that attract the opposite sex. Additionally, women are captivated by a man with economic and political power, a power that surpasses the unimaginable. Number 16, divorce and second marriage with Sasha Montenegro. When López Portillo married Sasha Montenegro in 1995, he was in the process of divorcing his first wife. Due to his first wife, Carmen Romano, still being alive, López Portillo could only have a civil marriage. Carmen Romano passed away on May 9, 2000, at the age of 74. A month later, the former president celebrated his religious wedding with Montenegro. During the later stage of his life, José López Portillo suffered from diabetes and the aftermath of a stroke he experienced in 1996. He passed away in Mexico City on February 17, 2004, at the age of 83, due to cardiac complications triggered by pneumonia. At the time of his death, he was in the process of divorcing Sasha Montenegro. Number 17, granddaughter's marriage to Gustavo Díaz Ordaz's grandson. On February 27, 2010, Leonora Tovar López Portillo, granddaughter of former President José López Portillo, had a religious wedding with Gerardo Díaz Ordaz Castañón, grandson of former President Gustavo Díaz Ordaz. The families of both the bride and groom were influential during the Mexican life between the 1960s and 1980s. The wedding ceremony took place at the Regina Coeli Church in Mexico City's historic center, and the celebration was held at the University of the Cloister of Sor Juana, where the bride's mother, Carmen Beatriz López Portillo, serves as rector. Number 18, recently declassified document revealed his CIA informant role. In April 2023, a document declassified by the National Archives of the United States revealed that José López Portillo had been an informant for the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, for several years, at least until he assumed the presidency of Mexico in 1976. The declassified document was part of the CIA's investigation into the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963. After the assassination, the agency investigated the activities of Lee Harvey Oswald in Mexico before the assassination. López Portillo's connection with the agency is documented in a November 29, 1976 document, when he was 2 days away from taking office as president. Number 19, it is claimed that he was the fourth Mexican president to be an informant for the CIA. Although López Portillo is not mentioned by name in the document, CIA agent Bills, a member of the investigative team, noted, Mexico will soon have a new president, a man who has had control of the liaison for several years. American writer Jefferson Morley points out that López Portillo was the fourth Mexican president to serve as an informant for the CIA, preceded by Adolfo López Mateos, Gustavo Díaz Ordaz, and Luis Echeverría Álvarez. It is even claimed that Station 100 in Mexico City provided intelligence information to Echeverria, when he was Secretary of Governance in Díaz Ordaz's cabinet, regarding the student movement at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, before the Cholotelolco massacre. Over 40 years have passed since the end of José López Portillo's government, but many Mexicans still remember the money bacchanal of the oil boom and the tragic collapse that brought misery to millions of Mexicans. We hope you found this video informative. If you have anything to add, please share it with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like this video and share the link with your family and friends so that they can also learn more about the 19 things about José López Portillo, the good and the bad of his presidency, corruption, and his lovers. If you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, make sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We'll be back soon with more curiosities from history.